Everyone, welcome back to another lesson. Today we will be looking at figures of speech. Now, if you are studying in class 9, then you might have probably heard about these before, right? So figures of speech, we do have many, right? There are like plenty of figure of speech in English language. And what does figure of speech actually do? So figures of speech are devices. So these are like tools that possess non-literal meaning. Okay, these words and these figures of speech does not have literal meaning. Literal meaning means the exact meaning of the word. Why? For greater effect, greater result in prose or poetry. Prose means stories and poetry means poem. So we use some words which does not show have, or should say possess literal meaning, and we call them figures of speech. Now, in simple words, these are words or phrases which carry different or separate meaning than the ordinary meaning of the word. One like example would be heart of gold. So when I say heart of gold, if we do take it literally, then we are really talking about a heart which is made up of gold. Alright, in reality, this is not possible. So it does have a separate meaning here. It means that the heart is pure and very kind. It is magnanimous. Secondly, the sun smiles greatly. Now, smiling, right, is not an attribute. It's not a character of sun. So we are having a different and separate meaning of the words from its ordinary meaning, and we call them figures of speech. Well, it's also known as poetic devices in some other language. Now, there are, like, as I told you earlier, plenty of figures of speech, out of which we will discuss only a few. Now, the very common figure of speech that generally every people use is comparison. Now, in comparison type, we have two different kind of comparative figures of speech, and these are known as simile and metaphor. So what is a simile and what is a metaphor? Both are designed to make comparisons. Okay, you know what comparisons mean when we compare one person with another. Like when I say he's big, she is bigger than him, so I'm making comparison, right? So metaphor and simile both are used for comparison, but metaphor, here we just directly compare something. Like my best friend is an angel. Okay, and here on the right side, my friend can jump like a gazelle. Now here I use simile use the word like to show comparison. But in metaphor, there's no words such as like and as to show comparison, because this is direct comparison between two unlike things, and simile is not that really direct. It uses words like and as. So let's get into a little more detail here. So what's a simile? Simile is a comparison between two unlike things, okay? Two unlikely things. So two very different things, when we are comparing between them, and when we use words like or as in between it, then we are using simile. For examples like, he eats like a pig. So you see the word like, he eats like a pig. We are comparing the way he eats with the way a pig eats. Her smile is as bright as the sun. So we're comparing her smile's brightness to that of the sun. The boy thinks like Einstein. Right? So how does the boy think? He thinks like Einstein. As wise as an owl. As clear as crystal. So these are used for greater persuasion, and it's an art that you can learn. Okay, and simile is normally used in every particular language, even in Tibetan, in Hindi as well, we do use simile a lot. Now the main difference is we use word like or as to show comparison. Now from your very text book, we have a story called Little Girl, in which the author has used simile. So we see like he was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking of a giant. So here, the author has compared the picture of the father in this story with that of a giant. So we have used simile here. So as I said, simile can be used in prose and as well as in poetry. Now let's talk about the other part of type of comparison, which is metaphor. Metaphor makes a direct comparison between two unlikely things or ideas without using like or as. Okay, like time is money. So we are not saying time is like money, we are directly saying time is money. The world is a stage. I'm not saying the world is like a stage. Language is our soul. Without it, our soul will die. She is a night owl. She is we need a here. She is a night owl and he is a tiger. So here I'm comparing he with a tiger, she with an owl, language with the soul, the world with stage. All of these are comparison between two unlikely things, and at the same time I do not use the word like or as, which is only used in simile case. So from the poem I've taken some extract, like wind, come softly, don't break the shutters of the window. So here, what are we looking at? We are looking at metaphor, right? So here wind is actually, an ideological metaphor, or should I say it's the overall poem. The overall poem, wind, is a metaphorical poem, just like the poem Road Not Taken. So Road Not Taken, in this poem, road is directly compared to the choices that we make, and wind is directly compared to the difficulty that we faced in our life. So if you have given careful attention while we have read the poem, you will definitely understand what I'm meaning here. Okay, and now this is the just a table to show you the simple difference between simile and metaphor here. So simile is something is like something. So we are using this word called like. Something is something. That is metaphor. Like friendship is like heaven. Love is a battlefield. Our school is like a temple. My school is a temple. So you see what is the difference between these two phrases is that here I used the word like to show comparison. Here I did not use the word like, rather I directly make the comparison between two unlikely things. Okay, I hope you get the point now. Okay, now let's jump on to the second category called sound. Now we do have some many sound related figures of speech. However, we will only discuss three, which I think normally comes in our poem and in our stories. Okay, so the first one is called alliteration. So alliteration is very easy. It simply means the repetition of the beginning sound of the neighboring word. So in a sentence, the very beginning sound, when it is repeating, we call that alliteration. Like she sells seashells near seashore. So you see that we see that she, sell, see, show, all these have the beginning sound is repeating. Sound is there. Likewise, Namdul needed new notebook. So we see na, repeating, right? Green grass grows in the great garden. So g sound is repeating here, and these kind of figure of speech is known as alliteration. Okay, this one is very easy. You normally use it, okay, unknowingly in your writing. Now the next one is known as anaphora. Okay, anaphora is also an easy one. Here there are like phrases or words like the stanzas and the lines from poem, and phrases means group of words with the beginning the same word or words. So there can be like one word or can be like more than one, alright, and it is beginning of in the each line. Like I came, I saw, I conquered. So I, you see same word at the beginning of every phrase. This is from Julius Caesar, a very popular drama written by William Shakespeare. And then here from the very poem called Wind of class 9, don't break the shutter of the windows, don't scatter the paper, don't throw down the books off the shelf. So we see that the repetition of the phrase, the word called don't, which is a phrase, right? And we have just one word repeating again and again, but not in one row, right? If it is repeating just after a few words, then we call it alliteration. But here it is repeating after several phrase or words. So these are words and this can be a phrase. Okay, phrase means more than one word. Now the third one is the most commonly used one, is known as onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia, we normally use it, and these are words that sounds like what it describes. So the words directly associates with the sound. For example, like the sound of bee is buzz. Then when we crack something, it creates a sound like crack. Then cow normally make the sound moo. Then the dogs make woof. This is W, okay, it's mistaken here. Woof. And then ducklings make sound like quack quack, right? So all these sound like meow is the sound produced by cat, and roar is by large cats like tiger and lion. So these are known as onomatopoeia, and we normally use it in our poem and in our story. One great example from the very poem called Wind is Wind. It is from the poem Rain on the Roof, where it has used the sound patter. Okay, so when the rain patters on the shingle, so patter here is the sound created by the raindrops when it hit the roof. So patter, alright, you know what patter means, you have read the poem. Okay, now we are done with sound category. Let's get on to the next category, which is also common, known as personification. In this figure of speech, we attribute human qualities to a non-living object or idea. So we know what are human qualities, like the wind howl. So when we say human quality, we are not only talking about human, right? We are also talking about animals and living objects, living beings here. So the wind howl. Howl usually means cry. So the wind cry with the sound woo, right? So normally wind cannot cry. We are giving one human quality to wind, which is a non-living object. Like from the poem Rain on the Roof, melancholy darkness gently weeps in rainy tears. So weep means cry, and we know what cry means. So now darkness cannot cry. Darkness is an idea and it cannot cry. Here darkness means cloud, and cloud does cry, but we have used personification. We have given one human quality to a non-living object. The wind's friendship is good, from the poem Wind. Now friendship, do you really think that wind can become a friend of yours? No, right? Friendship is a quality of humans and animals, so we have given one of such qualities to a non-living object. So in this way we use personification in our day-to-day life. Now the next one is known as hyperbole. Hyperbole is also known as exaggeration. What do we do here? We overstate something, right? In Tibetan word it would be like when we are saying something which is not literally possible. Like we do it for emphasis, means focus and results. Like example, I called you 1,000 times. Now it just shows that I called you many times, but do you really think that a person will call you for 1,000 times? No, right? So it's an hyperbole here. He can do it forever. Like normally we do say like, oh, we are friends forever. Do you really think that you can live forever? No, we just live for like 100 years at the maximum. So this is just an hyperbole. You are overstating something, you are exaggerating something. Like everybody can read that. We do say it, right, for emphasis, right? Everybody can read that. It was that simple. But literally it is not possible. Not everybody can read things, right? We do have kids who are dyslexia. Dyslexia means a person who cannot read even after a great time period of practice. So these are some of words like I told you millions of times, don't do that, right? So do you really think that I have a time to tell someone for 1,000,000 times? No, I'm just using hyperbole for emphasis and effect. Like one example is from The Road Not Taken. It says that I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference in his life. Now just really think about it carefully, students and learners. Now, one decision cannot make all the difference in your life. Not really possible. Not all of them. Maybe some of the differences in life is really made by the decision or the road that you have taken, the choice that you have made, but not all. So it is used as an hyperbole here to show or to create emphasis here. Okay, it's the last two lines from the poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Now with this, we are actually done with the figures of speech of this lesson. Let us just do a quick recall. So we look at simile and metaphor at very first, which are both for comparison. In simile, we use word like to compare. In metaphor, we do not use word like to make comparison. Like when dissolving like soap in water, John is a goat, right? Goat here means the animal, you know. Then we talk about some other sound related thing, but here I have given you personification. It means that we give human quality to a non-human being, right? Like a rain starts or thinner, right? There are different examples there. You can pause the video and look at it. Then we talk about hyperbole, the very last one, where we say that we are over-exaggerating something. It is the art of telling the idea that if something is meant by making it larger or smaller. Okay, suppose I saw a very common snake nearby our school, but then when I am reporting this to my teachers and colleagues, I will like, oh well, I saw this big and large snake. So what am I doing? I'm just making it larger than it actually was. So that's a hyperbole here. Then we talk about onomatopoeia, which is a very simple one. Like, can you hear the click, like click, click, click on the road? Like the water drips from the tap, drip, drip. So these are the sounds that has helped to create new words. Now the rest two are known as idioms and proverbs. We do talked about idioms in our class. Okay, idioms are like a group of phrase which has non-literal meaning. Okay, and then we talk about proverbs are normally a truth saying which has been passed on from generation to generation, and we will definitely talk about these two things in our next class if you're not very sure, but I hope that you know these two things, and these two also comes under the category called figures of speech. Okay, so with this we are done with the short lesson on figures of speech. I hope everybody have learned something new here. In our next lesson video, we will definitely cover the other figures of speech which will come across when we read new poems and new stories. So that's it for now. Thank you all for taking the time to go through this video. In case you have any question or doubt, you can leave a message in my WhatsApp account or drop a comment in the comment section below. Thank you all.